Good morning. I'm here on behalf of the Bermuda Police Service to provide reassurance to the public that the police are doing everything within our powers to address the recent emerging crime trends. Here are the facts as we know them at this point as it relates to the recent armed robberies. Police responded to two separate reports of armed robberies that took place over the weekend. The first took place on Friday at the Money Grab store on Middle Road in Warwick at around 4:20 in the afternoon, where two men entered the store and made demands for money. Those males then left with an undisclosed amount of cash. The second incident took place on Saturday night at 11:50 p.m., about 10 to midnight, at Maximart and Middle Road Sands. It appears that a male walked into the store and made demands of money. He also was given an undisclosed amount of cash, and that male then made his good escape on a motorcycle that was ridden by another male that was waiting outside. In both cases, the assailants were wearing dark clothing, had their face covered, and brandished what appeared to be a firearm. Police at this juncture are following specific lines of inquiry, and at this time it is unknown if these events are related or linked. We are keeping an open mind as to that development. The last 4 weeks have seen 18 chain snatches followed by these two armed robberies over the weekend. To put it in context, in 2014, we saw 13 robberies, which averaged about once a month. As such, the recent trend is cause for concern. Any crime that involves a degree of violence or a threat of violence presents a danger to all involved. The Bermuda Police Service treats these as very serious offences, which carry lengthy prison sentences upon conviction. I can reassure the public that the appropriate level of resources and investigative scrutiny is being applied to these active investigations. All avenues of inquiry are being explored. Forensics, and especially CCTV, have been valuable tools so far, but we repeat our appeal for witnesses to come forward. As responsible members of the community, we all have an obligation to catch these perpetrators. When someone rips chains off people and walks around with guns, everyone is at risk. We must put a stop to this type of antisocial behavior. It's not acceptable. So if you saw something, say something. The Bermuda Police Service will follow up any leads provided. Help us make Bermuda safer. I would offer the public some simple crime prevention advice. Limit your risk by refraining from presenting yourself as a target of opportunity. And this would include not wearing valuables, especially gold chains, openly. Businesses can limit the impact of crimes by keeping low amounts of cash on the premises. This also makes for a less attractive target. Install, maintain, and update CCTV, as this is a deterrent and is a valuable tool for police when following up on crimes. Have height scales placed at the entrances to the premises in conjunction with CCTV, as this is another valuable crime prevention tool. If you require further crime prevention advice, please contact our community action teams and they will come visit you and your premises to provide more detail. So in closing, I once again wish to appeal to the members of the public that if you know anything, saw anything, or have any information that may be of assistance, please contact the police at 295-0011.
Question at this time, Carlos?
What's a height scale?
A height scale is when you go through the door, you'll see them. They have a color code, and it says 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and you see them by the doors as you come in and out. It's a people sort of, it's there and they don't see it, but that's what it is. Yeah.
I know you're police, but is this, in your opinion, a reflection of the pinch that people are feeling economically with unemployment, etc.?
That would be sort of a social commentary. Certainly that's not appropriate for me to say that. That would be subjective in regards to what I feel is going on. All I can say is that there is a crime trend that we're concerned about. We are addressing it, and we are looking for help from the public to solve these crimes.
Any CCTV footage from either location?
Yes, we have good CCTV from both locations. I'm working with the senior investigating officers, and we will consider in due course whether or not we release some images. That might help people jog their memories and help us do the job.
Why not release the images right away, and that might help speed up the process?
Gary, it's a good question. It's more a question of the logistics of it. I mean, we have so much CCTV to go through. I mean, both of them, both premises had their own CCTV. We had CCTV outside, which was put in place as a crime prevention and a tool for us. It's a question of getting the best picture, to assist. So there's a lot of work going into getting the images that will help. I don't want to be premature and send out an image that doesn't help anybody.
Do you think that this type of crime is a reflection of the success of the police in other areas, so they're resorting to perhaps more brazen approaches now?
Once again, that's sort of up to conjecture. I think we have to ask the perpetrators why they're doing these types of crime. I mean, I would urge people that find themselves in a difficult position and are considering, delving into crime, don't. I mean, it's a bad life choice. We've all made choices that we regret, but this one can have life-changing altercations in regards to what happens to you in the long term. If you're in trouble, there's people out there that can provide assistance and provide advice. My advice is don't get involved in crime.
You mentioned that you don't want to link the incidents at the Modern Mart and the one at the cash store.
Yeah.
But the methods of operation, modus operandi, if you will, are the same. Masked men carrying what appear to be firearms.
Actually, I'll clarify that, Gary. It's we're having an open mind. I don't want to rush down that line without actually doing all the checks and balances. You're quite right. The modus operandi, how the method of operation, how the crimes went down, have striking similarities. But we're leaving that open. It's probably far too early to definitively say they're linked, but we're open to the fact that they may be linked. And we're certainly, the avenues of inquiries are in place to try to confirm that or not confirm it.
How many confirmed armed robberies have there been thus far this year?
I don't have those exact figures on me right now, Gary. Obviously, we had 18 chain snatches in the last 4 weeks, and then these 2 armed robberies. So that's 20 crimes that have a degree of violence.
I think 2 at the Mr. Chicken in Devonshire. There was one recently. There was one probably earlier on in the year.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, where we definitely.
For the year so far.
I can get those facts for you, Gary. It's a good question, and certainly what I'm saying here is we're concentrating on the last 3 weeks, where there's been 18 chain snatches and 2 armed robberies. I can give you further details of the sort of the year when the figures are released, or Mr. Keynes can get them for you.
Are you able to say how many of those chain snatches involved apparent firearms?
I can say that it would appear that we don't have any definitive evidence that firearms were used during those chain snatching. I can say that we've made significant progress in a lot of those chain snatches. We've sent people to the courts, and they've appeared in front of the magistrates charged with those offences. I believe we've had 3 suspects in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, it's of concern, and we see that if people hear about these types of crimes, we do get copycats. Certainly, it's a crime of opportunity, and if you're going to wear a gold chain out on a social evening or riding a bike, you may find yourself being targeted because of the value that these chains have. Yes, ma'am.
What you just said is to the individual, but you can't help ignore that both places were hit shortly before closing time. So these robbers are cognizant of that. So what do you say to the businesses? Because you said stuff to the individual.
Yeah, and that's a great question. It's about public safety. I mean, we all have to be aware. We're all our brother's keepers, I guess. We have to look. If you see people acting suspicious, they're, for want of a better expression, appear to be casing a joint out, and that means they're doing active reconnaissance, looking at the layout of a building, and they're going to strike at opportune times. Certainly, closing time is where historically businesses probably at the end of the day have the most money. There's not as many people around. People are tired. You know, that presents in itself opportunities. I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but there are crime prevention tools that will assist in making target hardening and sort of preventing the impact of certain types of crime.
There was an incident on board a bus on Friday. I understand a young man may have left, from what I've been told, may have left this very building and got on a bus and was assaulted in front of a number of tourists and residents alike. Perhaps time, I mean, you're not involved in transport, you're not working with the Ministry of Transport, but has the time come to perhaps have CCTV cameras on the public transportation buses?
Well, a couple things. Certainly, that incident is not part of what I'm trying to address here, but
Still, it happened, and it happened in front of visitors and
yeah.
residents left.
Well,
A number of them concerned.
we're aware of the incident. It actually took place on Thursday last week. It involved the release of someone from Westgate, and they were on the bus, and he was approached by people in the western end of the island. We're not too clear on the exact details. Certainly, there's an element of sort of Chinese whispers. The story is expanding in itself. We are doing follow-up to actually get the facts of the matter, and sort of we'll report out once we have the facts. I don't want to sensationalize the incident because at present there's nothing to indicate that it was at the level that you've described. In regards to CCTV on buses, I welcome anything that makes Bermuda safer. Certainly, a CCTV network across the island has proved invaluable, and if we can augment that with further access to CCTV, I welcome it. But to put it on public transportation vehicles is probably not my call. It's not my remit. But I would be supportive of anything that would help me and my people do our job.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
So are you able to give a fuller description of the folks from the two robberies? We don't know anything about what they looked like, they were wearing tinted visors or anything like that?
Certainly, I sort of gave a description earlier. They were between 5'2" and 5'7", wearing dark clothing. They were definitely taking measures to obscure their identity, whether a mask or a helmet. They were wearing all black clothing. We believe that they were wearing latex gloves. It's. I think it's. I covered that earlier on, but you can check.
Tinted visors? That's something.
I knew this was going to come up, the tinted visor question. Certainly, that's a matter for the legislators to deal with. It's not a police matter. I mean, they have to examine, the facts and people wearing visors and the tint of them. I mean, when people do crimes, they try to hide their identity, and they take all sorts of measures from the classic bandana to the tinted visors, and it's really up to the legislators to decide whether or not that banning tinted visors would actually solve that problem. I'll leave that up to you guys to.
No, I just wanted to see if they would use that.
Oh yeah, like I said, but people will take all sorts of steps from masks to visors to bandanas to hide their identity. That's part of the MO of these types of crimes.